Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? I hope you all are doing well, and welcome everybody back to Hot Topic Tuesdays, the series in which we take topics on PUBG, maybe controversial, maybe not, and we discuss them, we figure them out, and we give our opinions here today. So, in case you're not really familiar with how this works, basically we take discussions from inside the comment section. You guys get to leave the topics that we talk about every single week, and I'm also going to be doing a slight change to this video format where I'm actually going to be including 2 topics per video, one just from any of the general comments, and then I'm also going to be opening up to member comments. So pretty much there will be one general topic out of any of the comments on the previous video, but there's also going to be a second topic right at the end that's going to be for members only. If you want to become a member on the channel, you can see it right now on screen. This is where to go, or you can use the link in the description. Becoming a member will not only give you a higher chance of being included in the next video because there's going to be a member comment always at the end, but also you get a nice little verification badge inside my comment section, and it looks really cool. There's a bunch of other perks that I'm working on for it, so again, if you want to become a member, the link to that is in the description, and it does help and support the channel an absolute ton. But you guys never feel like you should be obligated to become a member, and you can leave comments every single week. I just thought it'd be a cool way to get more people involved. Instead of just doing one topic per week, we could extend it to 2 and do it this way, and I think it works out for everyone. So make sure to leave your discussions in the comments below right now for next week's episode, and we'll be pulling from that. But today's discussion is brought to us by Gui Tarzan TV, and he says, it would be great to hear your thoughts on how to identify a cheater, different ways they cheat, etc. And first of all, let me just say this is a really good discussion to bring up because this has gotten pretty wild recently. It's made a hell of a comeback. Unfortunately, for players like us who want to just enjoy the game with a cheat-free experience, this has never really been fully possible. PUBG has never had any point in its lifespan where there's just been 0 cheaters. In fact, pretty much no online video game that's popular enough to really garner this kind of an audience has not had a cheating problem. But it goes without saying that PUBG has had an especially difficult struggle when it comes to banning very obvious cheaters and keeping the numbers down just because of the mass amount of different kinds of ways you can cheat in this game. The reality is not all cheats or hacks are created equal, and some aren't so obvious as what you might expect. Now, when you think about hacking in a video game, and particularly PUBG, your mind is probably going to go to the more common ones, such as like aimbot and then no recoil hacks, that sort of stuff, maybe even like wall hacking. Fortunately for us, PUBG actually has a relatively good system in place for catching these very obvious cheats. That's why not everyone you see in a lobby is just obviously aimbotting. It seems to be a little bit more suspect when you die in a way that you feel may be a cheat. Some of the less obvious ways that players can cheat and try to get away with, things like radar hacking. This is a little bit difficult to sort of break down and catch because it can't be obvious from like kill cams and stuff. Before I move on, I should just clarify, if it wasn't obvious already, the gameplay you're watching in the background is from replay mode. This is not like a demonstration of radar. I was recording this last night and of course forgot to record it live in OBS, so I had to go back and grab it in the replay mode, but I guess it could give you an idea of what radar would theoretically be like if you could see everyone on your map. That's sort of the idea. Sometimes radar is so discreet that even it's been used in a professional setting, albeit it got caught later, but they got away with it for some time, and when it was finally revealed, people realized just how low-key these things could sometimes be. It's not as obvious as like somebody who's just, flying around the map and deleting you. I think PUBG generally does a good job of getting rid of what they call the bad actors. These are the guys that are very clearly hacking that anybody could recognize from 18 miles away. Some of the more difficult ones, though, PUBG seems to be struggling with, and it doesn't mean they're not banning people. According to this article and according to what PUBG has been saying, they've been banning 100,000 accounts per week. That is an actually staggering number. They say for the week ending December 14th, there was exactly 116,531 accounts that were cheaters, confirmed cheaters, that got banned. The idea that PUBG doesn't ban hacking accounts is just absolutely a myth. It's false. They do ban, as you can see, over 100,000 per week, but anecdotally, if you've run across a hacker that potentially didn't get banned, it's very unfortunate. I think all cheaters in this game should face some sort of, punishment or just not be able to play the game anymore, but some slip through the cracks because they're a little bit more tricky to catch than others. Cheating or hacking in video games can be accurately described as like a cat and mouse game where the cheater will find some kind of loophole in the system that they can exploit, and then eventually they're going to work their way around it and close up that loophole. That exploit will no longer be able to be hacked, and then that loophole will create other loopholes. It's pretty much a constant cycle that they're always going to be, looking for chinks in the armor, essentially. A big reason why PUBG is so quiet when it comes to anti-cheat and how they're dealing with these, of course, no system is perfect with this, and I can tell they're trying. I do think that they can do a better job of implementing this stuff, but PUBG does use hardware ID bans, which is pretty much the most permanent way to get rid of a hacker, or at least as much as that's possible. And they say hardware ID bans are in place despite some player speculation to the contrary. Unfortunately, we can't apply HWID bans in many cases. And he says you'll likely see the reasons why in an upcoming dev letter. Don't expect to learn every detail of how the anti-cheat efforts are going, though, since many of the specifics might give cheaters further ideas on how to exploit the system. And that's kind of the conundrum they're in, right? Because the more information they give us about the anti-cheat they're implementing, the more ammunition that is for hackers to exploit and then get into the system. And so it's kind of just no one really wins here. Something's been changing as of recently in the anti-cheat system in PUBG, because hackers have been a lot more present recently, and that's coming from me. This is coming from a guy who, I always try to ask questions before I shoot. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt that maybe they just made a really good or lucky play rather than assuming my first assumption that it's a hack. But if this is coming from me that there's a lot of hackers, then this is sort of a problem at the moment. And what's interesting is you probably kill hackers a lot more than you think, right? Because again, not all of them are just like invincibility hacks that you're not going to be able to kill them. Some radar users are just really bad players as a whole and can still be clapped by anybody who's experienced. Likely you guys shred radar players most of the time. And that's the trend I see. You only seem to notice hackers when they're killing you. When a non-cheating player is killed by a hacker, they tend to call them out and, claim that this game has a huge problem with cheating. But when you go into the next match and you shred 7 different hackers back to back, sometimes you don't even realize it, and it doesn't feel like cheating is much of a problem. And so while I'm not saying that it isn't a problem, I am saying that you probably kill hackers more often than you might think. With that being said, it is in absolutely no way, shape, or form an excuse to let the behavior of hackers go by unnoticed or unpunished. So with that information in mind, what can you do going forward to avoid hackers and, get them out of the game as frequently as possible? Because it's not like PUBG has a tolerance towards hacking. It is an absolute ban on sight. But the problem is, again, not all hacks are so obvious as what you might expect, and they can tend to go a little bit more under the radar, no pun intended. So what do you do about that? There are different softwares that you can use for online games that will be, effective as an anti-cheat. PUBG already uses BattlEye, and that's probably the biggest thing that keeps most of the blatant hackers out of the game. Other than that, you can try and run your own stuff if you want, but do that at your own risk. However, if you don't want to do all of that extra stuff to avoid hackers, I guess the best thing and easiest thing you can do is play FPP, because generally speaking, there are less cheaters playing first person than in third person for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why that is. I don't know if it's just there's generally a more mass amount of players in TPP, thus there's going to be more hackers just based on, simple math. Or maybe there's some component of third person that I'm not thinking of that just makes cheating more attractive in that mode. I'm really not sure, but playing first person is probably the most surefire way to avoid as many hackers as possible. Another thing you can do is just generally discourage the use of cheating, and I don't think I need to tell you guys this. Most players know that cheating just ruins the game experience for not only the cheater, but for pretty much everybody. It's not fun to cheat in video games, and I just don't really understand that. Like, I don't get it. If you're gonna be cheating in PUBG, if you're streaming it, it's pretty obvious to tell from viewers if you are hacking, and if you aren't streaming and you're cheating, what's the point? You just want to look cool in front of your friends? Wait, you don't actually have any if you're cheating. There's a lot you can do as an individual to snuff out cheaters. You can actively discourage the use of hacks. You cannot use them yourself if you've been guilty of it in the past, and you can do your due part to ban cheaters that you think might be suspect. However, the unfortunate truth is that cheating will never not be a thing in online video games. It's never going to be a phenomenon that's evaporated. It's an eternal problem. As long as there are complex systems like video games, there will be ways to exploit those complex systems and make the experience worse for people. That's something that will never change, and you can only do the best that you can to mitigate that. Do I think cheating is a problem in PUBG? Absolutely, and especially as of recently, it's gotten a lot worse. Do I think they could do better with their anti-cheat? Yes, I definitely think PUBG could do a lot to tweak its systems to make it even more effective. Do I think they're doing a poor job at what they're, implementing already? Absolutely not. I think they're working very hard on keeping their anti-cheat as much as possible. They have no reason to be lackadaisical about hackers, right? This is their job to keep the game, safe and keep it clean for the rest of us. You can bet the anti-cheat team is doing their absolute best to keep the game as, realistically fair as they possibly can. And of course, no system's ever going to be perfect, and this is not just a PUBG problem. I actually played Apex Legends the other day. It's a game that I don't even really like that much, but I was playing with a buddy. My very first game, I ran into a cheater, and so again, it's one of those things where we're so enclosed in our bubble of battlegrounds, a lot of us, that we don't see the outside realities. That this is pretty much a problem for every game. Yeah, PUBG has it bad comparatively speaking, but they are doing what they can to actively mitigate this and make it better. So the only thing we can do is individually take our responsibility to, keep hackers out of the game as much as we can, report them when necessary, and also put our trust in the anti-cheat team, keeping in mind that they have our best interests as players in mind, and so there's no reason that they're going to be lazy about it. Getting cheaters out of the game still has a long way to go for PUBG, and as I said, it's never going to be fully fixed, but we can probably get to a point where it's going to be fair for mostly everyone. And I think if we can get to a point where the hacker numbers are so infinitesimally low, then we've done our duty, right? If you've ran into cheaters recently in PUBG, let me know what that experience was like down below in the comment section, because again, I've actually ran into them, and if you know me, I'm not one to complain about cheaters often, and maybe I give them a little bit too much mercy when it comes to that. And I don't know, maybe I got to start cracking down a little bit more on it and being more suspect of players rather than less. I'm not really sure, but again, this is a problem I think is going to come and go in waves. We'll probably get a huge ban wave very soon whenever this new anti-cheat system that they're working on comes out, and I'm actually going to update you guys on when that does come out, because it's probably going to be generally interesting stuff. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy the video today. If you did, please be sure to give the video a thumbs up. It is absolutely free and it helps so much, and subscribe if you are brand new to the channel, and so you don't miss next week's episode. And of course, make sure to leave your comment and your topic of discussion down below so I can read that. And if you want to become a member and get pulled from that section as well, then you can also check out the link in the description, become a member on the channel, and that'd be absolutely great. If you want to go check out my Twitch stream where I'm live right now, that's also down below. But other than that, guys, have a great rest of your day. I gotta go, everyone, and peace out.